All right, before I get into creating anything in eBackpack, let me discuss the differences here, what you're going to see. When you see this iPad frame around the screen, that means that we're looking at the eBackpack iPad app. And when I go out to Chrome here, you're looking at eBackpack on the web. Our web address for this right here is kellenberg.ebackpack.com, and the login is exactly the same as it is for the Kellenberg computer system. Same username and password. So this is the home screen that greets you on eBackpack on the web. And then if we go back to the iPad, it looks like this. Very similar. Icons are mostly the same. You can do the same things for the most part with a few little differences. There are places where I think the iPad app is advantageous and where you'd want to do things on the iPad rather than the computer. And there are definitely things you'd want to do on the computer instead of the iPad. Depends on your task. Let's talk about creating. And by creating, I mean adding materials, assignments, assessments, things like that. A lot of the time when you're creating an eBackpack, you want to do so in the area called My Files. My Files is located right here on the iPad app, and if I go out to the web, My Files is listed in your sort of folder list here. It's a tan area, so you can see it's called My Files. Why My Files versus your classes? Well, your classes and groups are good for the year. And that means that in September your classes are there and they're populated with your student rosters and they have all the things that your classes have. But then at the end of June they go away. So all the work you created in your classes disappears. The work you create in My Files remains with you from year to year. So if you teach the same classes again next year and you set up all your assignments, they're still there for you. You copy them into your classes and groups again. So it makes sense in most cases to create in My Files. So let's go into My Files on the iPad app first. Here I am, and you can see I've created a whole bunch of assignments, and I have some folders, and I have some documents, right? And you can see the wrench icon. The wrench icon lets you move into and out of My Files. It also lets you kind of edit existing assignments. Say you wanted to add instructions after you created it, or you wanted to add more materials, you can do that, right? So let's create something new. On the iPad app, top right corner, plus icon, I tap that, I get add assignment, add assessment, add folder. And then down the bottom, you can see the icon for Google Drive. It says Add File from the account. If I want to add a file to My Files, I can do so right away. Let's create an assignment, because that's probably the most common thing you're going to do. So I'll tap Add Assignment. On the iPad app, I'm going to be prompted to name it. And I'm going to give instructions. The instructions are visible to the student, as is the name of the assignment. So if you want to say, Chapter 1, Section 2, questions and instructions. Please answer questions 1 to 8. If I put the keyboard away here, you can see that you can change the evaluation type. There's the due date, that blue bar. If I tap that blue bar, I can change when it's due. And then down beneath that, you can see allow turn-in and allow late turn-in. Now, allow turn-in. Say you wanted something to appear on a student's calendar in eBackpack because you wanted them to see it when they're looking at their homework, but there's actually no work to be done. Like, for example, you want to say Test Friday. You can say no to turn-in. In other words, the student cannot give you any work. You're just making an announcement to them. Most of the time you do want to allow turn-in. You expect them to do some work and complete it and return it to you. And when you do that, please allow late turn-in. It makes more sense. If you don't allow late turn-in, as soon as that minute that the due date comes, the students are locked out and they can't turn in work. eBackpack will clearly label the student work is late or on time. So if you're going to allow turn-in, I think it makes sense to allow late turn-in. Let's go out to the web and see the same thing. All right, here I am in My Files again. And if I go to My Files, I want to go to this Actions list. And I'm going to go to Add Assignment, so it functions the same way. I can create my assignment names. Let's call this, Chapter 1, Section 2, Instructions, complete each question, and return. All right. Now, again, same thing, available points, etc., etc. Evaluation type. eBackpack does integrate with PowerSchool, and we'll spend some time in later videos talking about how you can get your grades out of eBackpack and into your gradebook if you use PowerSchool as a gradebook. So the categories will matter when you do that. Due date, same thing, and turn in, same thing. So let's create that assignment, right? And now I call it Chapter 1, Section 2. So here I am in My Files, Chapter 1, Section 2. You can see there's the name of it. Here are the instructions, and you see here materials. If I click this plus icon, I can add materials, and this means that, if I want to give them the questions they need to answer, and it's a file I have on my computer, I can upload it from my computer here, and it'll bring up a dialog where I can search for my computer. I can go to my Google Drive if I want, and it'll search from there, right? And I can do this on my iPad as well. Let's go over to the iPad app, right? If I go, let me go just do an assignment here, right? If I'm in an assignment and I want to add materials, I go to the plus icon in the top right, and I'm going to say add file from account, and I'm going to find it on my drive. Now, if I want to add files on the iPad, I need to have them in my Google Drive account first. All right, so that is creating and adding materials to an assignment in eBackpack. What you want to do then, if you have it in My Files, is you want to copy it to your classes. Here's where the web version is a little better than the iPad app version. Let me show you what I mean. So here I am. Let me go back to my files. And let's take this Grover Dill assignment right here. All right. It says, please read Grover Dill and Tasmanian Devil, complete the review questions at the end of the essay, and submit. Right. If I want to move this to my classes now on the iPad app, I click on the wrench in the top right corner, and I select Copy. So then I'm going to go into my shared class and group files, and I'm going to pick which class I want to copy it into. But that's the problem. I can only copy it into one class at a time. If I want to get it into both of my English 9A1 classes, I need to do that process twice. If I go out to the web, though, right, let's go to the same Grover Dill assignment over here, right? I want to copy that. I go up here to Actions, I say Copy, and now I just hit the checkbox for the classes I want to copy it to. And once I click Copy, it'll move that assignment into both of those. So that is creating in My Files, creating an assignment, adding materials to your assignment, and then moving them into your classes.